Final theory. Tonetics, the final theory of creation, states, in the beginning was the Word, the sound you hear in your head when you wake up as you become aware.
Becoming aware is composed of three things, or three tones. There's awareness, that which you're aware of, and the memory of that awareness. This beginning of your awareness occurs now, before time and space, called the Big Bang, or creation. Science proved the Big Bang occurs closer to now than to 14 billion years ago, when they observed particles, which can only exist for a fraction of a second after the Big Bang. This eternal moment now creates the universe by the resonant diversity formed as spherical notes come together, like the color green appearing when yellow and blue come together. The octave of color demonstrating the mechanics of resonance. If the original three spheres, or the Trinity, are always together now, from those three spheres you produce 7 distinct tones. The first would be just the A sphere by itself. Second would be B sphere by itself. The third tone would be just the third, or C sphere by itself. Then you'd have where the tonal spheres of A and B touch, like your colors of yellow and blue forming green. You'd also have the intersection of B and C, the intersection of A and C, and the seventh distinct color, or intersection of three spheres, would be where they all three intersect together. And these 7 archangel tones arise at the intersections of the Big Bang's infinite original three spheres. Consider all the points where spheres A and B intersect, like the color green. Between 3 infinite and eternally, resonantly interacting spheres, A and B would appear as an individual sphere, as would all the other 6 distinct intersections, that is, points of view on awareness. Coming from now, the 7 top quark spheres, or tones, would produce the number of tones from all the possible intersections between those 7. I put in a chart on page 130 of Kirchner's Ars Magna Siendi, the problem of diversity, where his mathematical calculations, he arranged 18 objects in 2 vertical columns, and then determined the number of arrangements in which all could be combined in many different ways, like we just combined the 3 spheres. From these calculations, it is evident that infinite diversity is possible for the countless parts of the universe, and they all seem to be related to each other in an incalculable number of ways. And though, he says, the various combinations of these limitless subdivisions are each an individual, there is an infinite variety that can result from this. And thus, he says, it is evidence that life will never become monotonous, nor exhaust the possibilities of variety. Perhaps that's why the good Lord keeps it going. Shades, likewise, forming spheres, producing the top quark event data. The next diverse class of angelic spheres are particles, or intersections of spheres formed by the individual spheres, formed by the individual intersection of the original 3. We call those intersections particles, forming intersections between all the spheres formed before, these intersections produce much of the down quark data. Eventually, 1/100,000th of a second from now, enough intersections are producing atomic particles held together by resonant attraction.
These atomics are atoms compelled by their dominant resonant attraction form our spherical world.
Simply stated, the foundation of creation is the intersecting edges of resonant tonal spheres. These intersections are currently labeled subatomic particles, though they have no mass and aren't really particles at all. They're referred to as electrons, muons, quarks, etc. As two infinite spheres. Think of spheres bigger than the galaxies, and to be that big, the
Edge of the balloon
that forms these spheres is so small that you could fit
1,000 of them on one atomic particle. That's what they mean when they say you could fit
1,000 angels on the head of a pin, because their wings are so thin that it takes
many of their edges intersecting
to form an electron, a muon, a quark, etc. As these spheres passing through each other, and then those intersecting edges of the two spheres passing through, they produce traveling wave variants, similar in resonance wherever those particular spheres intersect. If a third sphere intersects the wave variance of the first two, a different resonance, like a different chord with a different note added to the notes you're playing to form that chord. If a third sphere intersects the wave variance of the first two, a different resonance or chord is produced along the traveling intersection of all three spheres as they undulate through time. Like the color green appearing when blue and yellow are mixed, so do subatomic particles appear and move in space-time. The forces directing their formation and movement, or intersections, are those of resonance, currently referred to as the gravity force, nuclear force, strong force, the weak force, etc. in physics. The more tonal spheres intersecting at one point in space-time, the more complex and stable the event, particle, seems to be. The frequency of any sphere is the rate of return to and from the Big Bang, or awareness now, like a sphere is already at the other side of itself. Wherever any particular group of spheres intersect, that particular wave variance event forms another sphere of that particular resonance. This new sphere causes wave variances when its shell intersects other resonant spheres or other intersections. Each intersection of infinitely undulating spheres produces the event or particle that our physical world is built from. Looking through these colorful pearly gates formed at the time of the Big Bang exposes three primary tones which produce the 7 distinct resonant spheres, top quark or archangels. Combining all the points where a particular intersection occurs in space-time produces a different sphere of resonance or color, affecting any other shade with which it mixes or chord with which it is played. Like a note added to a chord, producing a different tone or spherical resonance, which travels to the edge of time and returns, affecting all the waves or spherical pulses it intersects. Since scientists can observe events, particles, which can only exist for a fraction of a second after the Big Bang is now. Forming awareness, what you are aware of, and the memory of that awareness. Christians refer to Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Hindus, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. All religions have their ways of referring to it.